As we stand outside of the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben and Westminster Abbey, they're all being refitted or having a facelift, so they don't really look their iconic selves. But they're symbolic of government, aren't they? And here we have Paul arrested, confined there in Caesarea, and yet still using every single opportunity to share the good news. Talking about witnessing, L.A. Wiesel says, for the dead and the living, we must bear witness. Think about that. Coming from the concentration camp, we must bear witness. Paul bore witness before kings, before governors, before everybody, because he wanted to let them know about the love of God as shown in the person of Jesus Christ. Because having seen Jesus, it transformed his life. He was traveling all over to witness, and now as his ministry starts to come to an end, he's arrested, now he's imprisoned, and soon he'll go on this journey to Rome. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, why don't you take the opportunity to witness? Whether it's here, Houses of Parliament, witnessing before MPs, Buckingham Palace in front of the Queen, whatever it might be, even to your neighbour, the person on the street, telling them about God as revealed in Jesus. Well, it was just getting a bit too difficult out there with all the noise on the street and the passers-by and waving and everything else like that. So I thought I'd finish this off here in the room. And as I say, we're talking about Paul's arrest there in Jerusalem, wondering whether that was the right thing to do. If he knew that's what was going to happen, why did he go there? I think the answer is that he wanted to witness to all those people too, to the chief priests, to the leaders, to everybody he knew who would be there. So even though he had already been warned that this is what was likely to happen, he still went ahead with it because he knew it would give him another opportunity to witness, because that's what Paul is all about. And don't you love some of these little touches in the story? First of all, the commander who actually takes Paul into protective custody to save him from the mob, he's the one who says, okay, well, let's try and find out what's going on. And he's about to flog Paul, and Paul says, do you know, is it legal to flog a Roman citizen? And the commander says, well, just a moment, I had to pay a lot of money for my citizenship. Paul says, well, I was born into Roman citizenship. So already there's some interesting things at play here. So when then the commander writes to the governor, interesting letter, of course, he seems to take some credit for things which really weren't true, but we'll pass over that. Paul then gets the opportunity to share again, and we'll see that next time when he witnesses before Felix and Festus and everybody else there in Caesarea. But there's some other little side notes which I find interesting. What was Paul's nephew doing there? How did Paul's sister come into this? How was he made aware of this plot against him, which led to the commander sending Paul out under armed guard? I mean, all those cavalrymen and all those soldiers to protect him. Interesting that that's the way things worked out. I think, however, though, the important aspect is that Paul knows he has to take a stand. He's not afraid of that, and he's willing to do that, even if it meant being torn apart by those people there, the mob assembled there around the temple, accusing him, of course, of things which weren't true. And there's a great quote in the notes for this time. Jerusalem is the house of the one God, the capital of two peoples, the temple of three religions, and she is the only city to exist twice in heaven and on earth. The peerless grace of the terrestrial is as nothing to the glories of the celestial. That's Simon Montefiore talking about earthly Jerusalem as one thing, but heavenly Jerusalem too. Jerusalem, plays a large part in the history of the Old Testament. But for us, it's New Jerusalem. Paul won't get arrested there. No bad thing will come there. I'm sure as he thought about that, Paul looked forward to that too. But as we think of his arrest there coming to an end, he takes the opportunity to talk to the people, even those who want him dead. What a wonderful example for all of us.